I want SBR Sports Picks. My name is Peter Loshak. It's Week 11 in the NFL, and this is the Into the Weekend with BetDSI show for Week 11 in the NFL. Of course, we talk every week with Brent, the headlines manager at DSI Sportsbook, about the notable action that he has taken over the past week in both college football and NFL. Brent, it's a Week 11 in the NFL. Last week, according to you, the Brents had a whiff, an 0-4 against the spread. As of Friday, the picks that you told us that the Sharps were on as of Friday, one of them was Buffalo +3. I thought that was a great pick. Obviously, we were all wrong on that one. The Sharps 0-4 last week. They are still 31-26 against the spread in the NFL, according to you. Still up a couple units on the year overall.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a good week, obviously, for the Sharps. And the thing is, too, like we talk about on the show. I mean, we are talking here in terms of, we're not giving out picks per se, but giving out information more than that. And one of the things that I think is really important is to watch what happens on the day of the game. This season, just my feeling is that like game day, it's been a whole lot more movement than in other years. I mean, lines kind of used to be stable by Sunday morning. Obviously, you're going to see some movement, but not as much movement as we've seen this season overall. You talk about some of the plays from last week, and there's just games that they just go one way and then come back the other way from in terms of what the Sharps are betting. And yeah, I mean, last week was obviously not very good, but if you look at something like the Jets game that we talked about, Jets in Tampa Bay. Now the Jets were the Sharp side that did, when we did this show. At that time, the Sharps had bet the Jets at a pick. Line had got bet up on the Jets to -2.5. So I mean, that was every indication was that was the way to go. Now what you saw on the day of the game is that game actually by Saturday that started coming back the other way. I think on Saturday the Jets were from a 2.5 point favorite, were now a 1 point favorite. When you come in on Sunday, now the game was a pick 'em. By the time that game kicked off, it was Tampa Bay was either a 1 or 1.5 point favorite. So the sharp action early was on the Jets, but you kind of look at a game like that and you know what's driving it back the other way. It's not public money that's driving it back on Tampa Bay. So when you go from the Jets -2.5 all the way down to pick again, the fact that Tampa Bay is now a 1.5 point favorite again, you kind of, if you're looking at the screen, you got to use that information kind of to your advantage and know that sharp money came back the other way. You talked about the Buffalo game. Now there's a game where it didn't move at all. I mean, we did the show. Buffalo was like +3 -120. The Sharps had bet Buffalo +3 -05, and that game closed New Orleans -2. Now, I mean, Buffalo looked really good for about 5 minutes of that game, and that was about it. So, I mean, they're just dead wrong in a case like that. So, in that case, if you kind of looked at the board, you would have said, wow, I feel really good about my Buffalo play. But if you looked at the Jets play, you should have said, hey, I'm not so confident about this one anymore.
Right. Interesting stuff there on reading the day of game market line moves, which I absolutely do, and I've always got the information that you tell us about in my head. And then when I see the day of game line moves, I definitely feel like I have a better read on what it might mean. All right, so again, the Sharps 0-4 last week, and let's start with the Saints game coming up this week. I don't know. I thought the Bills might be a good bet last week. I did bet them, and I lost with it. The Sharps thought the same thing. They bet it. They lost with it. The Saints just absolutely came out of the blocks and blasted Buffalo, rolled to a 7th straight ATS win. This week, their next game is at home against the Redskins. Is the public starting to jump all over the Saints week in and week out now?
It is crazy. I mean, it's not like it used to be. I mean, it was always before, like New Orleans. They were always on New Orleans, and they were on the overs as well in New Orleans games. Now, the over trend kind of has continued in terms of the public betting the overs, but you're finding sharps betting the unders in New Orleans game a lot more than we've seen in the past. This week, we got a pretty decent spread out there, a pretty high number with New Orleans as a home favorite, 8.5 points right now. And again, this game there's even 7.5s out there. I think like 7.5 with juice, so 7.5 all the way up to 8.5 across the board. I'm sitting at 8.5 right now. I do have a wager count just about like 1.5 times favoring New Orleans. So I think this is kind of like a good number in terms of splitting the action. A slight wager count for New Orleans is not a big deal, really. I've got my, even my money is pretty much, balanced. I've actually got slightly more money on Washington now. I don't have sharp money on Washington, but I do have slightly more money. So just slightly more money on Washington, slightly more bets on New Orleans. And I do have a lot of money in the over. I got a, wager count almost 5-1 favoring the over. So I've got money that way as well. So, a very strong wager count favoring the over in this game, but nothing sharp involved either way. And it's kind of interesting I'm interested myself just to watch how this one plays out. We are at 51 on this total. I know there are some 51.5s out there. This game did open at 49, but like I said, it's just a wager count of 5-1 that's driven that number over. I just get the feeling there's got to be a point where this number hits like 51.5 or 52, whatever it may be, where the Sharps come back the other way. Because as we've seen with Washington, they can play in some decent low scoring games, and New Orleans, obviously, as we saw last week, with both the running backs running for over like 100 yards, they can obviously run the ball and kill the clock as well. So it seems like one of those games where at some point the Sharps might come in on the under. Like I said, it's just something we talk about, reading the board and watching how the screen moves. Right now, again, from 49 to 51.5, where we are right now, it's been all public moving on that over. So if that drops down, you know it's going to be sharp money the other way.
Right. Okay. And then the next game I want to ask you about is a game that just has maybe the most sharp public split written all over it of the season that I've seen before hearing the information from you, and that is the Chiefs against the Giants. The Chiefs are off a bye. Obviously, a great team. Struggled a little bit ATS before their bye, but the Giants having all kinds of internal dysfunction, and the Chiefs come in here as a double-digit road favorite. Now, there has been a market move, a pretty strong market move in favor of the Giants. They opened around 12.5. It's now down to 10.5 or 10. I have to assume that the public is at least significantly on the Chiefs, if not overwhelmingly on the Chiefs, and I have to assume that the market move in favor of the Giants was caused by sharp action on the Giants plus 12.5. Just seems very obvious to me. Is that the case, Brent, or not?
Well, we've been doing this show a little too long, Peter. You've already figured this all out.
Yes.
You have now graduated. Then you can sit in my chair. Yeah, I know you're bang on with this one. The public is all over Kansas City, as one would expect. Yet the line has dropped from 12.5 down to 10. So why is that? And that's obviously sharp money the other way, and that's what happened. Sharp money on the Giants. Now, it's kind of like we sit here doing this show, and like week after week, it seems like I gotta try and sell you guys on investing in a bad team, and it just happens every week. That's the way the cookie crumbles. That obviously public are going to be backing the teams who are supposed to win, and the sharp guys are looking for value on the teams that maybe are maybe undervalued. And this is a case here with the Giants catching plus 12.5 at home versus Kansas City. I have a wager count. It's almost like 3-1 favoring Kansas City. So it's not like 5-1. It's not 10-1. It's not a massive count favoring Kansas City. And again, the point spread so high is going to have people shying away from that one. You look at teasers and stuff like that, and then they get more heavily involved with Kansas City. But right now, wager count 3-1 favoring Kansas City. My money's almost dead even. So I mean, that is sharp money coming back the other way. Was why it kind of drowns out that heavy wager count. I do want to talk about the total on this one because I have sharp action on this one as well. The move towards the over was sharp. So not only do you have sharps grabbing the dog money at the plus 12.5, they also bet the over on this one over 43. Right now we're sitting at 46. Now, interesting that this number did open at 44 and took initial hit down to 43. Sharps grabbed that 43. Now we're sitting at 46 right now. So that one's moved almost, it's moved 3 points from where the Sharps grabbed it. Unfortunately, as usually is the case, I do have public money on the over as well on this one. So I got the Sharps and public both on the over and a sharp public split on the side.
All right, so those are list guys on the Giants at plus 12.5 and the over 43.
Absolutely, Peter.
All right, that sounds good. Early in the week, I only gave out one NFL pick myself to all the people, the regular viewers of our videos, and it was on the over in the Giants-KC game. Brent, what do you think about that? But it was at 44 before the line did take a dip down to 43.5 or 43.
Well, I want to know why you're holding out and only giving out one pick, Peter. Your pocket should be full of these winners.
You're right. Absolutely right. Good point, Brent. All right, and then the next game I have to ask you about is the Eagles-Cowboys game. Obviously, a huge clash here from a handicapping perspective. Very interesting. Philly off a bye. They were absolutely dominating and rolling before the bye. Dallas, of course, off of the very bad loss where they got pounded down and had all kinds of issues in terms of their offensive line and their roster, people on the field. There has been a market move favoring the Eagles, opened at 3.5. Now it's up to 4, 4.5, or 5 market wide. So I'm assuming that the public is all over the Eagles here and possibly the Sharps as well, although it's just definitely an interesting handicapping situation. Wondering what the action profile is for this game, Eagles and Cowboys, Brent.
Yeah, it's a tough one. You're right. I mean, Dallas just didn't look very good last week at all. I mean, they did get ground out by Atlanta, and they were never in that game, obviously losing 27-7. So they had no shot there. But I mean, they came in off that. I mean, before the Atlanta game, they had beat Kansas City. So you're like, how do you figure this team out? Obviously, the Elliott stuff is a big deal, and Philadelphia is obviously kind of like the flavor of the month kind of thing that everybody loves Philadelphia. Now, can you not talking about a team who's won 7 straight games? So Philadelphia is obviously a huge popular side. Looking at my wager count, probably no surprise the fact that I got a count almost 10-1 favoring Philadelphia. That's just a massive wager count for favoring the Eagles on the road in this game on a it's a Sunday night game too. You got a huge kind of stage set in terms of the rivalry. I guess you want to have it within the division, and you're looking at Dallas at 5-4. I mean, they maybe don't have a shot at winning the division right now, but if they do, they really got to get this win. If they go 6-4 and Philadelphia's 8-2, then okay, you got a shot. If they get beat out in this game, it's going to be real tough for them to recover. And again, the fact that it's kind of like on it's on the Sunday night game, you feel a little more comfortable as the book in terms of sitting with the home dog. This line though has just been steadily bet up. All public money so far. I don't have anything sharp involved in this game. That's why the line keeps on going. I think if sharp money did come in, it would start to come back down. But I am sitting at -5 right now. I see there's like some 4.5s out there as well. So everyone's pretty much 4.5 or 5. Wager count on the number on the total as well. I just want to mention that I do have a wager count, no surprise, especially involving Philadelphia favoring the over. Wager count almost 5-1, gone from 47 to 48 where we are right now. But again, it's only public money on the over as well.
All right, we'll see where these lines move. I think that if we see a pretty a day of game strong move in favor of Dallas, that's probably an indication of sharp money, right? Although Dallas not necessarily, because Dallas is the kind of team that can take huge non-sharp action from like big accounts that aren't necessarily sharp that can move the line significantly, right?
You mean oil money being?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Oil money, right? Oil money can have the same effect on line movement as sharp money, right?
Yeah, for sure. Because I mean, those guys, as you know, have deep pockets. They can certainly move the number for sure. But yeah, I do kind of get the feeling with this game as well as one of those situations where the sharps could be just kind of like circling, saying how high is this number going to go, because the public's kind of giving an indication they're only going one way, and that's what the Eagles. And you can understand that it's not like the public's all of a sudden going to landslide towards Dallas. I mean, if anything's going to happen from now to Sunday night that's not involved with sharps, just maybe you're going to split action both ways, but that's not going to move the number at all. You're just going to get the reaction at the number 5. Right. So if it does go down, I would say it's going to be sharp money that drives it back down. And I wouldn't even be surprised if it came later in the day as well.
Right. All right, Brent from BetDSI, thanks so much. Again, the promo code associated with this show is Weekend25 as of right now. List guys on the Giants plus 12.5 and the over 43. What else can you tell us about notable action from NFL Week 11, Brent?
Well, we actually get to talk about a good game for a change, and that doesn't happen very often. And that good game that we're going to talk about is the Rams in Minnesota. I mean, it's probably the marquee game of the week, and should be maybe the Sunday night game. But I guess they were expecting Philadelphia and Dallas to be a little bit closer in terms of the spread. But this is a good game in that Minnesota is one of those teams where they just they don't have that flashy identity or anything like that. Their quarterback, who's their quarterback, who stuff like that. I mean, Bradford's been hurt. Everyone's talking about Bridgewater, and like everyone kind of forgets the quarterback they do have. They lost their running back earlier in the season, the rookie who looked like he was going to be real good. Yet they just keep chugging along, winning football games. I mean, they've won 5 in a row, and now they're at home to the Rams, who won 4 in a row. Both these two teams sitting at 7-2, and my wager count is just it's like 3-1 favoring the Rams. I mean, it's just like the Rams are kind of like the flavor of the month. They're kind of popular, kind of like Philadelphia, like we just talked about. Whereas Minnesota, and it's just typical with Minnesota, they just don't get a whole lot of respect. They're just not a flashy team that people are going to say, wow, can't wait to bet on the Vikings kind of thing. So it's a good spot for us in that I do have sharp action on Minnesota when it was -1.5. We're sitting at 2.5 right now. There are some like 2.5 -15, but everyone's pretty much 2.5 or 2.5 -115. Sharp action on Minnesota -1.5. I think the count being favoring the Rams is kind of why this line has stayed where it has. If there was no public money involved the other way, it probably would have touched 3, perhaps like 3 dog 20 or something like that. I do get the feeling though that the public is obviously liking the Rams, and I think that's going to continue. If this line continues to go up, I think that might be sharp money that drives it well. Like I said, I'm already at 2.5 from the 1.5, so you really want to kind of resist moving to 3 if you can, because you open up at 1.5. So we'd probably go 2.5 -115, and if we were forced to, we'd go like 3 dog 20 and stuff like that from there. But I think this line will probably just stay around where it is, like 2.5 favorite 15 or something like that, back and forth, just because the public money is the other way with the Rams. But it's it's nice that we kind of get to talk about a big game for a change. Two teams is 7-2, both on big winning streaks. Count one way, sharps the other way. It's a good spot for me.
Yeah, Brent, that was actually the fourth game that I wanted to ask about specifically. That was the one that I cut. It's definitely an interesting situation, and I was thinking that maybe you would tell us that there was sharp action on both sides of that one, a candidate for that one, but no, only on Minnesota. Although if the line did go to 3, who knows how the Sharps would react? Awesome information, Brent. What else can you tell us about notable action from NFL Week 11?
Well, I can tell you that Denver still seems like they have a decent defense, and one of these days they're going to get some help from their offense and win a game. They've lost 5 in a row. Now they're at home to Cincinnati, who's lost a couple of games, 3-6 teams. So you kind of expected more from when the season started. I think I've got a count slightly favoring Cincinnati. I've got Denver money favoring the Broncos, and that's because I did take sharp action on Denver minus 2.5, minus 0.5. Now again, Denver right now they're only 2.5, minus 115. So this line's only moved 10 cents. But again, it's that thing where when you take your sharp action on 2.5, do you really want to jump on 3 with juice, or do you want to kind of avoid 3 if you can avoid it? Now again, right now I've got slightly more bets on Cincinnati, so that's why it's just kind of been like a 10-cent on the 2.5. So we haven't broken off the number, but you could see this one going. I do see on the board there are some 3 dog 20s and 3 dog 25, but I do have sharp money on Denver, public money on Cincinnati, and again talk about the kind of value of moving 10 cents. I mean, we were at minus 105, and now we're minus 115, and it's all about sharps being sharp. Your break even point at minus 105 is like just over 51%. When you're playing 115, it's like 53.5%. So it may seem like you didn't move the number, you only moved 10 cents. That's not a big deal, but again, if you focus on the long term, 10 cents here and there is a big deal, and it does pay off in the end. One game that I wish we didn't have to talk about, but it is, sharp action driven, and that's the New England Oakland game. And the reason I don't really want to talk about, yeah, exactly. At least it's not the side, but it's the over, and I got sharp money on the over 50. Over 50 where that came in. We're sitting at 54.5 right now, so it's a pretty big move. 54.5 from 50. My count. Oh, Peter, my wager count is 10 to 1. 10 to 1 favoring the over. I wrote down on my sheet here in brackets. I wrote down, ouch. Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, I got sharp money on the over, and I got public on the over as well. I mean, this is one of those fugly games that I don't want to see go over. The side at least hasn't gone up in terms of the sharp money driving that, just public money driving New England on the side. My wager count on the side is like 4 to 1 as well. So 5 to 1 on the wagers count on the side. So I've got a lot of New England money coming in. No surprise. And again, it's not like anyone's got the home field advantage in a game like this over in Mexico. But the over, definitely one-sided. Like I said, wager count 10 to 1 favoring the over. Sharp money over 50. We're sitting at 54.5. I just want to mention a couple of the games where I got, another game where I got a big count one way, and that's Detroit, Chicago. Now, this line hasn't moved very much at all. So I'm kind of suspicious that maybe somewhere out there, sharp money has come on the home dog, Chicago. Just something to kind of look out. So I've got a wager count. They're very strong. It's like 8 to 1 here, favoring Detroit. Yet that line has barely budged. So I'm thinking if other people kind of have the same count and same profile of customers as we do, I'm guessing that sharp money is kind of keeping that number back, because Detroit, I'm sitting pretty flat. I see the other books like 3 dog 15 and stuff like that. So if this number, even if it stays where it is, I'm guessing there is sharp money out there somewhere on the Bears.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. Brent from BetDSI, thanks so much. Once again, Weekend 25 is a promo code you can use for brand new accounts at DSI Sportsbook to get an additional $25 free play. Thanks so much, Brent from BetDSI. We'll talk to you next week for NFL Week 12.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to our channel. Now, we've put a lot of work into producing all these free videos, so please help us out and keep all our content free for you forever by simply liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Now, not to mention, a visit to our industry-leading website will warm the hearts of all our SBR employees, especially myself. Now, the links are over there to the left, so do check those out. Thanks for watching.